first Saturday in July. 2 precious minutes. 4.25 million rand. Saturday, the 7th of July. Whose time is it? The Vodacom Durban July, Africa's greatest horse racing event.
Wow. So Spain joined Portugal and Argentina on their way home, an early flight back to their land of residence as Russia kicked Spain out in a penalty shootout. Well, we've got the next hour or so to go through the Vodacom Durban July card, and I'm joined in the studio by Dees Dynand on the far side. Dees, what an upset in the World Cup.
I think it's fantastic for football, Graham. You know, I've been watching most of the games, and really nice to see the so-called minnows come through. Host nation, many said no hopers to get to the first round. They got to the quarterfinals. They're now in the semi-finals. I think fantastic for the nation.
No, they're now through to the quarters. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves.
16 quarterfinals, they're now through the quarterfinals. Fantastic for the nation because I've been watching this Love from Russia show that they go around, and these 4 girls, for Super Sport, they go around and they show Russia. And I'd like to think we hosted a fantastic World Cup, but they've done an outstanding job, and I'm really glad for the host nation.
Sean Connery from Russia with Love. Also joining us in the studio is Warren Lenferner. Warren, I know you're not much of a soccer fan, but you put the mockers on Spain. You had a bet today. You backed Spain. I'm not sure we should have you on the panel here tonight. But yep, nice to have you here tonight.
Thanks very much, Graham. Always a pleasure to be here. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. It's the Vodacom week. The atmosphere is already electric, and there's so much to look forward to. Racing, social events. And yeah, Spain, I don't know much about soccer, but I first backed Germany, they're out. I then backed Spain, they're out, but I've got a few lurkers.
Please don't have a bet on England. Please don't have a bet on England. I'd like to, whether they can win or not, I'd like to see them progress beyond Colombia. Back to matters horse racing. Saturday, the 7th of July, the 4.25 million rand Vodacom Durban July. 12 races on the card, the first off at 11.25, and it's going to be a betting feast. So let's bring you up to date with all of the carryover news, what you can look forward to on Saturday. So let's have a look at our betting slides for Saturday's race meeting. And there you can see we've got a quartet maxi pool carryover to the first race of 100,000 rand. So we're expecting that pool to reach 1 million rands. We're going to chat to the guys about all the races today. We're going to fly through them quickly because we know that you want to get to the Croatia-Denmark game at 8 o'clock. Race 2 is the first leg of the first bipot, and we have an 80,000 rand carryover. The first bipot pool likely to be 1 million rand. Then race 3, the first leg of the place accumulator. We're expecting that pool to reach 3.2 million rands. On to race 4, it's the first leg of our Pick 6 mega pool with a massive 3 million rand carryover, a guaranteed pool of 11 million rands, but we're expecting that pool to go beyond 13 million rands. Then race 5 is the first leg of the first jackpot. We're expecting that pool to reach 2.3 million rands. Then on to race 6, it's the first leg of the PA Blitz. Then race 7, which is, of course, the Vodacom Durban July. We have a massive quartet maxi pool, 1.2 million rand carryover. The likely pool is to be around 16 million rands. It's also the first leg of the second bipot, and we're expecting that pool to reach 350,000 rands. Then race 9 is the first leg of the second jackpot, which encompasses races 9, 10, 11, and 12. We have a 150,000 rand carryover. The likely pool, 1.8 million. Race 11 is the first leg of the jackpot quick mix. And then on to race 12, the last of the 12 races on Vodacom Durban July Day 2018. A quartet maxi pool, 100,000 rand carryover. The likely pool, 1.1 million rand. And then, of course, don't forget about the all to come. You can bet all to come into the 4.25 million rand Vodacom Durban July. Choose any race meeting from Monday the 2nd of July through Friday the 6th of July. You bet an all to come in the normal way and make your last selection a win or place bet in the Vodacom Durban July. You mark future 1 for the Vodacom Durban July portion of your bet, plus the horse number and win or place for your Vodacom Durban July bet. And betting, of course, opens Tomorrow, Monday, the 2nd of July. That's when betting opens. We've got a whole week of betting into the 2018 Vodacom Durban July. So let's get straight into it. The first race due off at 11:25 is the Marinaresco 2017 Fillies and Mares Handicap, 86, 1200 meters. I'm going to start with you, Dees. Tricky to start the day off with the Fillies and Mares Handicap?
Yeah, competitive as it always is, and we got a quartet carryover to the race, so I'm sure many of the guys will be looking to that exotics to get their day off to a flying start. The speed is on here, Graham. Number 10, Schwanky's in the race. So is number 12, Call Me Winter. They're both drawn well, and they enjoy racing up handy. A Nautic Spirit, I think a worthy favorite in the race, but will have to overcome the draw. She enjoys racing handy. She gets the services of Manga Kumalo. So with the speed on, I'm going to be tipping a 10-1 shot here, Graham, as the value. Number 9, School Run. I know she hasn't won in 938 days, but the stable's in good form. Serena Moodley riding well. And at first glance, you think it's on the sharp side for this 1,200 meter tip. She's been racing over 1,600 meters. But with the speed being on, I think punters are looking for a home run. Hopefully, it could be School Run.
Well, in fact, both Andre Nell's fillies must have a chance here. He's got, of course, number 2, Hoist the Mast, drawn 6 with Gareth Rideout. You've got to ignore the last run. She was thrown in the deep end in the Merchants. But prior to that, her form in this class must give her a bright chance. In fact, both of Andre Nell's fillies could be competitive here.
And if you go back to a run behind Just Sensual, if she repeats that effort, then she'll go pretty close to winning it. But Graham, I'm going 9, 10, 12, and 4. And if you're looking for one more to include in quartets, number 1, Essence of Light, gets a nod from me.
Okay, so that's 9, School Run, 10, Schwanky, 12, Call Me Winter, and 4, Nautic Spirit. Correct. With 1, Essence of Life, a bit of a lurker on the, well, no lurker, she's got terrific form, but she's got a very, very bad draw to overcome. Warren, how do you see the first race?
Yes, Graham, as we said, very, very competitive. Touching on Essence of Life, as you said, she's got a big chance. I think she has a big chance. It's just the draw to overcome. And if you have a bit of luck in running, this Daughter of Caesar, I think, will be very competitive. We are watching you, loves the poly track. Michael Roberts' horse returning from a bit of a rest, but has a hat-trick chance. Nautic Spirit, on the other hand, is trying the poly. She's having her poly debut. You've got to be a runner. Also drawn very wide. But it is extremely competitive. I respect these as a selection 9 School Run, but I would try and include as many in quartets and bets as you possibly can. It's not easy.
Okay, so it is the bet to catch in the first race is certainly the quartet with that maxi pool 100,000 Rand carryover. We're expecting the pool to reach 1.1 million rands. Nautic Spirit for me could be the right one. I know she's priced up favourite at 28 to 10. She has got draw 11, but will come in 2 positions if in fact the 2 reserve runners or the 3 reserve runners come out. Obviously, this is live. This is coming to you live this Sunday night. There might be many changes to the card still through the course of the week. So keep yourselves up to date with the very latest releases from the media as to scratchings, jockey changes, et al. But it is an open race. I agree with Dees. I think that the Andre Nell runners have got a bit of a chance. I think Essence of Life, who's earned a stakes check throughout her career, has obviously got a chance if Luke Ferraris can get her across from the draw. But I'm going to nail my colours to the mast with number 4, Nautic Spirit, to give favourite backers off to a good start. Race 2 off at 12:10 is the first leg of the carryover bipod. It's the Tab Gold Pinnacle Stakes over 1,000 metres, so a nice quality field. There you have it. Sergeant Hardy at 5 to 2, Kissable at 5 to 1, 7 Lives at 11 to 2, and Traces at 11 to 2. 2 Bishop's Bounty. Interesting, he won on this day last year. That's the last time he won was on Vodacom Durban July Day 2017. Here's at 6 to 1. They're betting 10s and better the balance. Once again, hashtag Strat is completely ignored in the betting. Punters just don't ever want to seem to take the odds on hashtag Strat, and she struck up a very good relationship with apprentice Sakai. But this time, Warren, a very poor draw to overcome.
Yeah, a very poor draw, Graham. Drawn closer to the duck pond at Botanical Gardens is hashtag Strat. But, I've seen horses win from bad draws, and she's definitely got to be respected. The last 2 wins were impressive. I'm not wild on Sergeant Hardy and Bishop's Bounty. The horse that I think will win is number 4, 7 Lives. I've watched this horse from his very first run, as I've got a share in this horse's half-sister. And he's classy. He's trying the poly for the first time. Pierce Stradham, draw 1. Paul Peter, they're on fire. This horse has got the form for me, and I think 7 Lives will win. Healthy respect for Louis Goosen's horse, Winter Blues. This one's also well drawn. Traces, interesting that this horse had a barrier trial the other day, obviously to show the course and that sort of thing. But just a 2-year-old taking on older horses is a concern for me. But 7 Lives to win, Winter Blues to run second for me.
Well, Paul Peter, I fancy his horse in the first race, so he could get off to a flying start on Vodacom Durban July Day, perhaps a double in races 1 and 2. But hashtag Strat from that wide draw will obviously make sure, whatever happens, will make sure that the gallop is on from the word go. So Dees, we've heard from Warren that he's not really a fan of the favourite Sergeant Hardy. He's not a fan of Bishop's Bounty, who won on this day last year. Bishop's Bounty certainly also got a very useful draw. Traces, hard to know what to make of it, drawn towards the outside. I know you've been acting as agent for this meeting for Jeff Lloyd, so it's nice to see that he's get a sighter of the track on this 2-year-old son of Schnitzel. He's got his problems. He's blind in the one eye. It's hard to know what to make of him. A 2-year-old thrown into a pinnacle race, that's certainly a step up. And Winter Blues, how do you see the race?
Well, the one thing we're certain of is that it's going to be up and go. When the starter says go, Winter Blues in the race, kissable, arguably the quickest filly over 500 meters in the country. Then you got Sergeant Hardy, who enjoys racing up handy. Hashtag Strat's going to overcome the draw. No doubt that's going to go to the front. And I think for that reason, it could leave the door open. If they go quick, cutthroats up front, it could leave the door open for an absolute train smash here, which I'm hoping it's not for punters, because I'm in the corners with Warren here with number 4, 7 Lives. Not going to read too much into his merit rating at this stage of his career. Graham is a 4-time winner, first run on the poly track. He doesn't feature in the best weighted column at all, but he's ideally distance suited. I think he's a 5 furlong specialist. Run up the race from draw 1. Pierre's not going to, go out and try and race his horse up handy. He would have assessed the field. The speed's going to be on. I think wherever this horse is positioned, that's where the race will begin. That's the way I see it. I know Sergeant Hardy on his day, he fluffed his lines last time out at Scottsville. He was a very strongly fancied favourite, but things went horribly wrong for him from the jump. You can't read anything into that start. His penultimate start when they travel him to Joburg, it's been well documented by Justin that he wasn't himself on the day. On his day, he's the class package in the race. He's well clear in the best weighted column, so he's the horse to beat. But my top 4, I'll go 4, 7 Lives to beat 1 Sergeant Hardy, 10 Winter Blues. And then I must give Colin Naidu and Jeremy Duknarine and, of course, Pradeep Rambras, good mates of mine I mentioned, with number 7 Filippo. Nice to see them have a runner on the feature race day. A distance specialist, a polytrack specialist. The draw won't phase this horse. He's got a very late burst. If you watch him win last time out with Gunter, he only got going over the last 50 meters or so. So the speed will certainly suit him. Nice horse to include in quartets.
Interesting that you've gone for 7 Lives and left Kissable, whom you've mentioned as being the pace in the race, out of your selections, because if you go to the last time they met, admittedly 7 Lives won comfortably by almost a length and a half. On that occasion, Kissable was receiving 5 kilograms, now receives 7.5 kilograms. So surely wherever 7 Lives runs, Kissable should be there and thereabouts?
She's not the most reliable, Graham. On a day, she can blitz up front and keep going with it. But if you find her on the wrong day, she can certainly blow out over the final 200 meters or so. So she's not the most reliable. Whereas 7 Lives, what you see is what you get. It's a hard-knocking sprinter. He's only starting off his career, and I think he's not going to retire a 4-time winner. This horse is going to win races. Okay,
very quickly, guys. This is the first leg of the bipod, and it's a lovely bet to take, especially on July Day. Gives you two options in every race. Warren, how are you going to go in the bipod first leg?
Graham, as I said, I am big on 7 Lives, so I'll probably take 2 bipods. One where I bank is 7 Lives. The other one I'll go 7 Lives, Winter Blues, and I respect Dees' opinion, so I'm going to add in Sergeant Hardy as well.
Dees, bipod?
I think you're going to have to play it a bit wide. Whilst I'm talking big about 7 Lives, he's travelling down, first run on the poly track. The speeds are going to be on. I'll actually go 4, 1, and 10.
Okay, so there you've heard it from the guys. I'm in the camp of 7 Lives, but, and I just want to get a quick view from the guys, if there is a scratching and La Ferrari comes into the race as the first reserve from a 3-gate, I think he would be very, very competitive in a race like this, carrying just 52.5, draw 3. If he gets into the race, D's, I think he could be a big runner.
Yeah, I'm sure that the owners, the Ferrari boys, will be hoping. You spot on with that. I actually put a question mark next to this horse, so keep an eye on scratchings. Grant could be on the mark with this horse. Hashtag Strat last time out, good run, but even that run to Bold Respect, that penultimate
I think
start.
he's better around the turn, to be honest. I think he's better around the turn.
And his polytrack form is solid.
Absolutely. Right, time to move on. 12.55 is the first leg of the place accumulator. It's a Betting World 2200, grade 3, over 2,200 meters. Thanks to Betting World for their sponsorship. And I think this is a wonderful, wonderful race. Number 10, Platinum Prince, tops the betting at 7-2. Number 7, Pack Leader at 11-2. Last year's winner of this race, number 8, Crowd Pleaser at 6-1. Number 3, Social Order, 13-2. 13, Royal Crusade, 13-2. 2, Sabina's Dynasty is at 8-1, along with number 9, Strathton, and they're betting 12-1 and upwards the balance. Now, this race sometimes has been a bit thin in terms of its quality, but so many horses competing here that didn't quite make the grade for the 2018 Vodacom Durban July. One of them is likely to win and say, you see, I should have been in the race. Sure. But all of, most of the field were actually in the reckoning for a place in the Vodacom Durban July. I think it's going to be an intriguing race. I make races 3 and 4, the 2 toughest races on the card, the Betting World 2200 and the Gold Vase, the DSTV Gold Vase. I think those are the 2 toughest races on the card. But try and narrow this down for us.
And a lot of respect for Social Order and Mike de Cox runner number 13, Royal Crusade. You can make a strong case for number 10, Platinum Prince, who's in solid form. Strat done, a close-up behind Made to Conquer. Crowd Pleaser, very good gallop. Close-up to the Vodacom Durban July favorite. But I'm going to nail my colors to the mast here, Graham. I'm big on this horse, Pack Leader. I know he was borderline to get into the Vodacom Durban July.
And may yet get in.
He may yet get in if there is a scratching. He's the first reserve. But Richard Fourie, when chatting to him at the gallop, I mentioned in that panel discussion with Paul, Garth and Kevin Shea that, the weight's not declared when they do the gallops. And Richard, he called me over and he said, I actually galloped this horse at 60 kgs and I had a bit of lead in my bag, and he gave me an absolute feel. He was one of the leading gallopers on that Thursday morning, and you have to feel for the bloke. He never took another ride, so he misses out on the July.
So why is he riding it in this race? Why is he on Platinum Prince?
He was already on. When they did scratchings, Justin actually declares jockeys very early. He tries to get his riders, commits to them, which is the way to run your business. So, he thought Pack Leader was an obvious inclusion in the July. He declared himself on Platinum Prince, and now he's out of a ride in the Vodacom Durban July, and he misses out on Pack Leader as well. It's difficult to go to a trainer and say.
But Platinum Prince is favourite.
Platinum Prince is favourite. But I think on what I saw at the gallop, what I hear from the stable, and what I think of the horse, I think number 7, Pack Leader. If he's as good as they think he is, and on what he's shown on paper, his match strides are the best of his generation as well. I'll make him the horse to beat. If you're going to be brave and bold in the first leg of the place accumulator, like I'm going to be doing, I'm going to bank a number 7, Pack Leader. But if you're looking for horses to include, 10, Platinum Prince, the obvious inclusion, 8, Crowd Pleaser, and 9, Strat Down. That's the way I see it in order of preference.
Okay, so Dees makes it quite an easy race to unravel. I thought it was quite tough. But talking about the gallops, Warren, I agree with Dees. Pack Leader did gallop well, but so too did Crowd Pleaser, and he's looking an absolute picture. When he came back to the parade ring afterwards, Warren Kennedy's eyes were like this big. He rode Crowd Pleaser in the gallop, and he was absolutely over the moon with the gallop. He won this race last year, but what do you fancy?
Yeah, Graham, the gallop was exceptional, and the horse's last run to African Night Sky, you've got to give Crowd Pleaser a big chance. However, of the horses that Dees has mentioned, my first choice is number 2, Sabina's Dynasty. Paul Peter's horse has a wide draw, but it's 2-2.
What do you think this is going to be a Paul Peter benefit or what?
Well, it's
a bit tougher than that,
It either is or it isn't. But if it is, we'll be happy, and if it isn't, we'll look to jump off the top floor. But Sabina's Dynasty, I think she's a smart filly. Last win was good. She had to be eased. She got up on the line. She's my first choice, but by no means a good thing. Respect for Pack Leader, respect for Crowd Pleaser. Strathton, we all know this horse is the Gold Cup. I think is the massive run I'm expecting here. And I spoke to Duncan Howells this morning, and he's got Wild Wicket, and he's given us comments on all his runners, so we'll share that with the viewers. And he just said that Wild Wicket, he was simple. He said if this horse stays, it's got a quartet chance at best. But for me, I'm rowing in with Sabina's Dynasty.
Okay, and for what it's worth, my top 4 in no particular order that I'll be playing around: 7 Pack Leader, out 8 Crowd Pleaser, 10 Platinum Prince, and I'm never one to ignore the Mike de Kock runners on a day like this. Number 13, Royal Crusade. Although he only won a graduation last time, he ran a creditable 5th in the SA Derby. Mike de Kock has always thought very highly of him, so I'm certainly not going to leave Royal Crusade out of the play. First leg of the Mega Pick 6, the Mega Pool Pick 6. There we have 3 million rands in the carryover. Guaranteed pool 11 million rands. Likely total Pick 6 pool 13 million rand plus. And it all starts with race 4, the DSTV Gold Vase, Grade 3 over 3,000 meters. A really exciting race to watch on Vodacom Durban July Day. They start in the main straight and go past the winning post and all the way around the track. And again, like I said a moment ago, I thought this was a very tough race. Let's have a look at the betting and the field for the DSTV Gold Vase. There we have it. It's My Turn is the favourite at 4-1. Recent winner of the Track and Ball Derby. Number 8, One Direction, is at 5-1. Number 4, Mr. Winsome at 6-1. Number 7, Hero Quest at 13-2. Number 2, Let It Rain at 13-2. Number 5, Cool Chardonnay at 7-1. 11, Silver Rose is 8-1. They're betting 10s and better the balance. So it's very competitive. It's the DSTV Gold Vase, Grade 3 over 3,000 meters. Won last year by Hermosa Mundo, who then went on to win the Elan Gold Cup, and Hermosa Mundo's on his way back to defend his Gold Cup crown. I know he got beat today at Turferdine. He ran second. Good run. But, he's recovering from an injury that he picked up in the Sansui Summer Cup, so he's heading the right direction. So we'll see him back on the last Saturday of July to defend his Elan Gold Cup title. Well, I thought this was a very tough race. And for me, in the first leg of the Pick 6, the only way that I would think you're guaranteed to get through is with the entire field. But you guys, you may see it differently. What do you think, Warren?
Graham, well, for starters, Paul Peter hasn't got a runner. Yeah, so I'm not going to be tipping him buyer. But I think Dean Kannemeyer holds a strong hand. I think his 2 horses, It's My Turn and Mr. Winsome, will be the 2 to fight this race out. Healthy respect for number 10, Storm Warning. Known distance winner. He stays. Fabian Habib won't be bringing this horse down to Durban for fun. I was ultra impressed with Mr. Winsome's last run, and I know Dean Kannemeyer was too. I spoke to him after the race. Neatly drawn, a lot of positives. Mr. Winsome, I think, is coming back to himself. He's my first choice. I think Dean Kannemeyer will fight this race out. 4, 1, 10. 10 being Storm Warning.
So in the old days, if the couplings were still valid, you'd bank in the first leg of the Pick 6, you'd bank the Kannemeyer coupling.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so D's Warren's making it an all Dean Kannemeyer affair. This the first leg of the carryover Pick 6, 11 million rand guaranteed. We expect the pool to be 13 million plus. You don't want to make an early exit out of such a mammoth bet. But maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Maybe it's not as wide open as I thought. But, I think there are a lot of runners with chances here.
The one thing that you need a horse that has got no stamina doubts. That's the first thing. The second thing, you're hoping as a trainer, owner, jockey, that pace is on, suits you, luck in running tactics. It's 3,000 meters. We saw Hermosa Mundo got beat today, and for the guys that included that, it was a nice result for them in exotics as well.
2-4 is still too short for him.
Sure. But coming back to Anton Marcus, we know he's nursing himself back from injury, but he's only taken 3 rides on the day. He's taken Cue the Music, It's My Turn, and of course his Vodacom Durban July runner. So,
okay, well, I'm going to take a little treble there. I think just as a throwaway bet, I'm going to take a little Anton Marcus treble.
You would have thought about, I don't want too many rides. I want rides that obviously I feel are winning rides. That's the way you would have seen it. And with It's My Turn winning the Track and Ball Derby the other day, and I asked Anton in the interview, what he thought of the win. And I mentioned it. I said, it looks like he was moving away from horses and he seemed to enjoy it. And he said it wasn't by design. But I feel that the fact that they kept him away from horses and he came right to the outside, he seemed to enjoy running alone. So the distance will be no problem. Dean is convinced. I had the pleasure of sitting with him at the Vodacom Durban July function when you guys, announced the final field. And He was convinced, if his horse did not get into the Vodacom Durban July, he's looking for this type of trip, and his mission could be, the Gold Cup at the end of the month. So no problems with the stamina. A recent winner over a distance. It is unknown territory for him. I think he is the worthy favourite in the race. Number 7, Hero Crest for Brett Crawford. Jeff has been here now since Tuesday, and he hasn't just jumped off the plane and attending parties. He's been in Summerveld working the horses that he could, that he's riding, and this horse galloped alongside White River at the gallops, and he was impressed with this horse. And the fact is, he's a stayer, he's a front runner, he's got a low weight. Don't leave him out. I wouldn't leave out number 5, Cool Chardonnay, and number 8, One Direction. So I've gone 1, 7, 5, and 8.
Okay, and just to add to that, I really fancy number 11, Silver Rose. I know the form with One Direction is pretty close. Silver Rose has never been tested beyond 2,000 meters, but being a Silvano, 5-year-old Silvano, rising 6 out of a last Tycoon mare, I'm expecting Silver Rose with a low weight of 52.5 to fully see out the 3,000 meters and be a factor. It's my turn. Yes, worthy favorite. 4-1 favorite he is, but I think it's pretty open. Warren thinks it's the Dean Cannemare show, and you've heard the tips from Dees there. That's the opening leg of the pick 6, the DSTV Gold Vase. As we go to race 5, which is also the first leg of the first jackpot, we welcome Samsung as sponsors on Vodacom Durban July Day. It's the Golden Slipper Grade 2 over 1,400 meters, and there is the betting. Number 7, Celtic Sea at 4-1. Number 8, Ferdoas, wide draw to overcome, 11-2. Number 10, Miss Khalifa, Jeff Lloyd's mount for Toby Spiess at 6-1. Number 5, Can You Keep It Secret, 13-2. Number 6, Captain's Princess at 13-2. They're betting 10-1 and better the balance. So that's the betting D's. I like number 6, Captain's Princess. I think the one draw is going to be a big help for her, but I do have healthy respect from Celtic Sea, even though she's got to come from that 13 gate.
She's had no luck as well, Graham. Last time out in the Alan Robertson, take nothing away from Johan's horse. Superb ride by Mark Khan on a mighty high. But again, I thought she was a bit unlucky. A penultimate start, that day, she got so badly squeezed at the 200-meter mark. I don't think, again, St. John Gray, fluent winner of the race, but she was unlucky. And here she gets a bad draw. I think the blinkers helped her last time out. I like the fact that she enjoyed that equipment change. She'll need luck from the draw, but she's always been highly rated by Sean. Number 8, Fidoas, Mike de Kock's runner. Again, poorly drawn, but a filly that's loaded with ability. And she's been shown the track, which is a massive plus. It's a positive. The joker of the pack here, this horse called Believe the Best. Glenn Cotson, when you speak to Glenn about this horse, you can see a twinkle in his eye. He really fancies this filly. And last time out, unfortunately, that Richard Fourie was stood down. He's the man that's engaged for this filly on the day. But Atandiwe Mgudla from that poor draw did a superb job. And when she was asked to run, you could see that she's a filly that's loaded with ability. The way she's
the half-sister to Eyes Wide Open.
Correct. And she's looking for further as well, 1,600 meters plus. So she's a smart filly. She's got a pedigree, stable rater. Don't leave her out. She's actually not 12-1. But now I looked at the betting before coming here to the show. I think she's claimed now into 8-1. So there's money around for her. So I've gone 7, 8, 3. And then I'm doing Jeff's rides. I know that permission was granted to see this filly run. She was carded to race on the day where the grooms were striking, the Thursday at the Val. Unfortunately, that meeting did not go through. So she's not had the ideal prep, but she's a filly that's highly regarded by the stable. And Jeff was quick to mention, I actually had a winner the last time I raced on July Day for Corne Spiess. I was called War Horse. So, he seems to be lucky for me. So maybe you could get a winner for Corne.
Okay, I honestly believe that, although Believe the Best may turn out to be a really nice filly, and I could end up with egg all over my face here, I think that perhaps this race has come too soon for her when you think about the quality of her form versus some of the other fillies in the race. But we know these kind of races, these 2-year-old races, can deliver surprise results. But I'm going to just take a chance here. I'm going to row in with just 6 Captain's Princess and 7 Celtic Sea, the 2 daughters of Captain L. One drawn well, one drawn badly. But Warren, you may have a different view.
Graham, I'm glad that Dee's mentioned Miss Khalifa, the Toby Spiess horse, because wow, she was impressive on debut. She was quicker than a $1 massage. She was quick. She was, you know, and Jeff's, anyway, Jeff's rides from a good draw. Dees has touched on it. It does form part of my selection, the Miss Khalifa. However, I'm big on Fidois. Very smart move from the De Kock team to bring this horse to KZN last time. Course and distance. She won well. Her penultimate start was if not more impressive. She is drawn in the car park, but we just got to take that as it comes. Big respect for Captain's Princess. She's beaten Fidois. Her run in the nursery was great. Candice Dawson turning out winner after winner. Nice to see Naresh Juglal in town from the best
he
draw.
had a winner. He didn't win this race last year. He won the Colts race last year.
Okay.
He flew in to ride for Sean Terry and won on Purple Diamond.
Comes up in the last race this year. Comes up in the last
Which is running in the last race. We're going to get to that. But Naresh...
I'll tell you, I'm younger than both of you, and your memories both are better than mine.
Naresh came out last year and won. He won the Colts race. He's now trying to win the Fillies race. So definitely got a chance.
All right, but 8 Fidois, my first choice. Captain's Princess for second. 7 Celtic Sea, and then Miss Khalifa for fourth. And healthy respect for Can You Keep a Secret and Running Brave, but I'm big on Fidois.
Okay, well, I can understand that, but I'm going back to the debut run where Captain's Princess beat Fidois. She's got a 1 draw. Fidois got a 16 draw. I'm going to row in with a draw and go with Captain's Princess. But Celtic Sea, I think, if she gets some sort of luck in running, it's going to be tough to beat. Race 6 on the card is the Durban Golden Horseshoe Grade 2 over 1,400 metres. The race is due off at 3:10. We have a short-priced favourite on a day when short-priced favourites are at a premium. Number 13, Socrat, who is also from the Mike de Kock stable, also came down here to have a look. Apologies, hasn't been here to Gravel yet, but has got a good draw in its favour, is at 14-10. 7, Cue the Music at 7-2. 2, Barrahin at 7-2. They're betting 12s and upwards, bar 3. So, Warren, if the betting is anything to go by, this is a race where you can go light. And let me preface whatever you're going to say by me saying that I'm, on this occasion, going to side with the De Kock stable, and I'm bankering number 13, Socrat, and everything.
Okay, interesting, Graham. Interesting. Yes, you can go light. I think it's going to be De Kock horses here to fight this out. 2, Bahrain. Was impressive last time. Again, another course and distance winner. But healthy respect for Socrat. I think he's a top horse, unbeaten. He's been ultra impressive in both his wins. So 2 and 13, the 2 De Kock horses. And I mean, you'd have to be balmy.
I'm also leaning towards the fact that Randall Simons is the stable jockey now, and I'm assuming that he had first choice. It may be a dangerous assumption to make. Well, interesting that Victor Forth, whom he beat first time out, won today at Turfentine and won very well. But so you think the outcome does lie with the De Kock horses?
I do think the outcome lies with the De Kock horses. Exact as boxed, I'll be taking as many times as possible, but I'm going with Bahrain. I'm going 2 Bahrain, 13 Socrat, and you'd have to be balmy to leave out Cue the Music. 2, 13 and 7 for me.
Healthy respect for Cue the Music.
Going light for me.
And Todd, we're going to take that treble, by the way, just as a throwaway bet. What's it? It's my turn, Cue the Music and Do It Again. I like Do It Again. So, and obviously Cue the Music is my second choice behind Socrat. Let me be clear on that. And I may take various permutations, but I do think that Socrat has that come-on look. I'm assuming Randall chose the better one of the two, although it may be difficult to distinguish between the two. But Dees, have you got alternate thinking, or are you on the same page?
I'm on the same page, Graham, and I think this could turn out to be a special horse. You know, whether we see him here for another season in South Africa is another story altogether. But on what he's shown to date, he looks like a horse that's going places. They put him over a sprint, he won easily. They put him over 1,400 meters. He absolutely smashed the opposition. You mentioned the form line, Frank to Joey Somers' horse today. The draw is a massive plus. Yeah, I don't think it was a matter of choice for Randall, because Bernard has won on Bahrain his last 2 starts, and last time out it was at Gravel, where he won comfortably as well. Yeah, if you have to ask Mike de Kock and Matthew, I'm sure you'd get an answer on which horse they think is the better of the two. Hopefully we get some interviews by the time Saturday comes on. But I think that both horses are worthy contenders for top honours. I'll go 13-2. Cue the Music, you can never leave out, nicely drawn. It's amazing how the form lines turn around, Graham, with these 2 years, and we saw it in the gold medallion, the Sokosan gold medallion. Van Hendel was soundly beaten by Q the Music at his penultimate start, and he came in the reversed that form in a big way. And if you're looking for one more roughie to include number 3, Basilis.
Number 3. Is there number 3? Basilius. Yeah, well, he won well first time out. And Jeff Lloyd is riding for Toby Spiss.
Yep. And in my book, quite right, D's, I wrote there, Lurker. Lurker could be a bit of value.
Lurker.
Yep.
You guys are always looking for lurkers. Well, we're always looking for lurkers on any race day, but especially Vodacom Durban July Day. I've got a lurker later on, a nice 50 to 1 each way chance. But that's later on in the card. As we go to race 7, which is, of course, the headline act, the Vodacom Durban July Grade 1, 2,200 meters, due off at 16:20. Just to remind you that the tote will pay out, as far as a place bet is concerned, on the first 6 runners past the post. Have a place bet with tab on the Vodacom Durban July, and you'll be in the payout queue if your horse finishes in the first 6. It's never been easier to win. And then also just to remind you of that Quartet Maxi Pool, 1.2 million rand carryover. The likely pool, a massive 16 million rands. Now, guys, the Vodacom Durban July itself, we could spend an hour and a half to 2 hours discussing. It's going to be debated throughout the week with various panel discussions. We've seen the gallops. We've got to get out of here before Croatia kick off against Denmark. We don't want to force our punters into a choice between us and the soccer because we know that they're going to choose the soccer. So let's have a look at the latest betting. Number 4, African Night Sky. For me, too short in the market, 2 to 1. Do it again at 13 to 2. Made to Conquer is at 6 to 1 or 8 to 1, I think it is. 12, White River is 9 to 1. They're betting 10 to 1 and upwards the others. So Justin Snaith has the first 3 in the betting at this stage. So Warren, I'm going to ask you just for your first 4 selections and perhaps 1 or 2 that you might want to throw into the quartet.
All right, Graham, I think that's right. Yeah, because as you said, we would be here all night. But I'm going to talk about my selections. I've gone first, number 8, Do It Again, the son of Twice Over from the Snaith stable. He has impressed me. I think he's a decent horse. I know he's drawn badly, but 8, Do It Again is my first choice. 9, Majestic Mambo is my second choice. Great run in the Daily News. Another one drawn badly. Paul Peter.
He's as bold as Warren is.
I'm going third, number 11, Fiorella. This is owned and trained by 2 dear friends of mine, and I'd be the first. I'd be hoping she wins, but yeah, she's a big runner for my money. And number 4, African Night Sky, I'm going 4th. 8, 9, 11, 4 are my selections. For me, Elusive Silver, Matador Man, and Star Express are my lurkers. You asked for 3 others.
I thought Star Express is looking extremely well at the moment. She galloped beautifully. D's, your 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, like Warren did, give us 3 other runners on the outside looking in.
I'll be tipping with my heart. I've been chatting to Jeff for the last 2 months or so. And I haven't won a big one like the Met or the July, being an agent to jockey Delpesh. And hopefully Jeff, who's tried this race for 40 years, I can add some Indian spice to his ride on the day. And he likes his horse. I like the horse. So I'm going 15, Made to Conquer, to beat number 4, African Night Sky, 9, Majestic Mambo, and 12, which is White River. And then the 3 roughies I'd include, or should I say the 3 other horses I like: 8, Do It Again, 11, Fiorella, and number 16, Rocket Countdown.
That galloped well.
That was the first gallop, top gallop.
Moved extremely well, quite impressed. But I'm going to go with number 8, Do It Again, to win it. From number 17, Dark Moon Rising. Number 4, African Night Sky. And I should actually tip Jeff to run 3rd. Actually, let me change it. 3rd, number 15, Made to Conquer, to give Jeff his 12th third placing. And 4th to number 4, African Night Sky. But like you, Warren, I think Star Express and Majestic Mambo and Fiorella and White River, those are the ones to consider for your trifecta permutations. As we go to race 8, the Zulu Kingdom Explorer MR88 handicap over 1,400 meters. The race due off at 17:15, sponsored by Tourism KZN. Number 9, Cue the Music, is top of the boards at 7 to 2. Number 12, Bold Coast, is at 9 to 2. Number 4, Kazar, 5 to 1. Number 8, Captain Courteous, at 5 to 1. Number 10, Sorceress, at 6 to 1. 3, Founding Father, who was placed at this race meeting last year, is at 8-1. Number 2, Royal Armour, is at 8-1. They're betting 10s and better the balance. So I'm going to start with you, D's. It's a handicap, and as such, a bit tricky.
I like a horse here, Graham. If you have a look at their weights, although carrying 62.5, there's just 6 kgs in it. The bottom weight is 56.5. So don't look at the top weight and think that it's too much weight. It's just 6 kgs.
And he's getting 4 kilograms off his back, so he's carrying 58.5.
That's not the horse. I like number 2 a lot.
Oh,
Royal Armour.
Royal Armour.
I like the horse a lot, Graham. Polytrack specialist, course and distance specialist, has had the ideal prep, a nice barrier trial. Then in a Pinnacle Stakes last time out, a very good effort behind Summer Sky, who comes from a form line behind African Night Sky, the Vodacom Durban July winner. And I think Lausanne has done an outstanding job with this horse. He is the Polytrack specialist. I know there are a few here, founding father, Kazar. They all enjoy the Polytrack, even Mumsy's Jet. But this is the Polytrack boss. When it comes to course and distance,
What price was it?
12-1.
12-1 Royal Armour.
12
Sorry,
to 1.
I thought you were heading towards cutting edge because Sheldon was waxing lyrical yesterday at the KZN Breeders' Race Day about cutting edge, and at one time he looked as if he was going to move up to win it, and then just ran out of puff, so that run brought him on. So cutting edge, obviously, also a bit of a runner, but I do respect the fact that Royal Armour is a 7-time winner. He's won 4 on the Polytrack. So there we go. Dees is a Royal Armour fan. What are you a fan of in this race, race 8, Warren?
Graham, I think this race will be won by the filly in the race, one of the fillies in the race, Sorceress. I think she's got to, if she brings her penultimate start when 4 lengths off Lady in Black, Trippy's Girl, she ran 3rd to last time, Trippy's Girl won again. Obviously the only concern, and I did do some homework and rang Duncan, the only concern is it's her first run on the Poly. But if she takes to the surface, which I don't see any reason why she shouldn't, he's of the opinion she'll go close. I like her. I think she can win. I've gone 10-9, cue the music, from 12 Bold Coast. And I'm going to, when Dees talks, I listen. I'll include number 2, Royal Armour.
Absolutely, I'm going to include number 2, Royal Armour. I do think that number 9, Cue the Music, the one that tops the boards, could be the one to beat. But here's my, well, I was hoping it was 50-1, but I see it's only 25-1. Horse to include. I'm not saying it'll win, but a horse to include. Number 5, Princess Peach. Terrible last 3 runs, but when you look at closer, they're all in feature races in higher class. Prior to that, in this class, she ran 2nd, and that was in a barrier trial, and previous to that, she beat Neptune's Reign. She's drawn 1. She's got Craig Zaki. I just think that Princess Peach is going to bounce back to her very best form. She takes a massive drop in class, but only one to include. I'm not suggesting that she's a good each-way bet in any manner of speaking. But 9, Cue the Music, the one to beat for me. But like Warren, I listen to Dees when he talks, and 2, Royal Armour must go into the mix. Race 9. Last year we were short and sweet with this race. The Johnson Workwear Garden Province Stakes Grade 1 over 1,600 metres. As a panel we said, Bella, 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 Bella. We stuck the bookmakers out.
Yeah, and
they weren't our friends. They didn't talk to me for 6 months. They said all the altar-comes went into Bella, Bella. And this year's going to be no difference. Your bookmakers, listen out there. Number 10, Snow Dance at 5-10. They're betting 12-1 bar 1. Can we be as fast about this race as possible? Are we in the camp of Snow Dance? She's drawn 1. Is she a banker, fellas? Warren?
Yes.
Dees?
Last year I got the honorary passport to Chatsworth for a lifetime. And this year, well, I think the Snow Dance, you know, you don't blame the bookmakers pricing up at 4-10 grand.
No, she's a 5-10 choice.
She's actually going to start.
I don't think she's a 119 that they pushed her up to. I think that's debatable, but she's the business here. Last year, Justin Snaith delivered us the business in this race, the Garden Province Stakes, sponsored by Johnson's Workwear. Lovely to have Nick Johnson on board with the team. So I think we're all in the camp of Snow Dance.
What do they say? The biggest certainty to look through a bridle.
Yeah.
I think she's...
And I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll tell you that the exact horse might be the same one as last year. Number 5, She's a Giver. Could well be the one that runs 2nd. She chased home Bella Bella last year. She might well chase home Snow Dance. But we're not going to spend any more time debating this race. It's Snow Dance. Neptune's Reign will run a big race, etc. for your trifectas and quartets. But we're going to row in with Snow Dance after running 2nd in the Fillies Guineas and 2nd in the Gold Challenge. The Johnson's Workwear Garden Province Stakes banker in all bets. And that's quite a big statement, because that means in the place accumulator, that means in the pick 6, and that means in the first leg of the second jackpot as well, which has a carryover. So race 9, everything.
Who was your exact selection, Graham? Sorry?
She's a giver, ran second last year.
These we must try and find a bit of value to try and
I like numbers 12 and 13 for the minor position. 12, 10 by 12 and 13.
Okay, lovely.
Okay, while Warren's thinking about it, we're going to move on to race 10. The KZN yearling sale million over 1,300 meters. This is for yearlings that were sold at the KwaZulu-Natal yearling sales at Sibaya last year and are now 2-year-olds. And of course, you can go along to Sibaya this year again and purchase yourself a yearling qualifying for this race next year. And again, I thought this wasn't a tough race really, because I'm going to believe in the Grade 1 form, and that is represented by number 13, Inveroche, at 16-10. Number 6, Given It Some, is at 4-1. One Against the Grain raced yesterday, was a little bit disappointing at 13-2. Perhaps will do better come Saturday. They're betting 10-1 and upwards the balance. But guys, when I said there are a few good bets in the card, of course they might well come unstuck on race day. I thought this was one of them as well, because you know you've got to believe that the further she goes, the better she's going to be. This daughter of Ideal World, she's got the best form in the race. She has a bit of a wide draw, but D's, surely they're going to have to go some to beat Inveroche.
Looks that way, you know. If we making Celtic Sea a banker in the graded race earlier on, surely she has to be a good thing on the day. She'll need a bit of luck from the draw. She brings a Group 1 form into the race, and it's a lovely race for owner Brian Bernard and to get some of his spend back for the season. But guys, don't leave out this horse in the second jackpot. Give It Some. Candice Bass and Lloyd will picks up the ride. You know, thanks to Candice for, you know, considering Jeff to ride this filly, because Marbo Poloi... Candice Dawson. Marbo Poloi came out and absolutely smashed the opposition next time out for Stephen Moffat. This horse won over 1,400 meters, highly regarded by the stable, and you know, being a KZN yearling sale, bred individual, qualifies for the race, and I think a massive runner. So I think the bookmakers got it spot on. 13 by 6.
Just to be clear on that, Dees, it's not necessarily for KZN bred horses. It's for horses that were sold at the KZN yearling sales last year, whether they were bred by in KZ or not. So this one you're talking about was bred by the Birch brothers, who interestingly bred the Merchants winner Sniper Shot. And it's great that Colin Birch and his team are getting Birch brothers back in action and starting to breed more yearlings. And they've bred some very nice horses in a short space of time since Colin took over from his dad, Sid. And when I say took over, certainly took over the front line of the stud. So it's great to see the Birch brothers back in action. They Sniper Shot came off the KZN yearling sale and won the Merchants. Given It Some, obviously a nice horse, and you've persuaded me that Inveroche is a filly. This is a gelding. Perhaps I should put the 2 in, but can we make it a 2-horse race? Can we make it a boat race?
I think it's a 2-horse race. And talking about sales, I mean, if you want to buy a horse to qualify for next year's race, the sales are this week as well. So that's going to be fantastic. It takes place at Sibaya. What a fantastic venue.
Thursday,
Friday, and then...
And the Wednesday evening prior to that, you can tell us more about this. Jeff Lloyd, I know I'm hosting a panel discussion where Jeff Lloyd will be in the Barnyard Theatre. It's called Rockwoods at Sibaya. We've got, that's at 7 o'clock. Andrew Bonn has put this together. Garth Puller, Jeff Lloyd, myself. Are you on that panel?
Yeah, it's just a tribute to Jeff. I mean,
tribute to Jeff, and
it's going to be wonderful. I mean, just to get things up before the sale next over the 2 days.
He was so popular. It was great to see all those photographs being taken with him at the Gallops. He's still a great hero amongst the local racing fraternity. Have I forgotten to ask you what you fancy for race day?
I nearly nodded off. Yeah. Graham, I will keep it short. I agree with you. I'm not saying Inveroche can't win. She's not my first choice. I think 16-10 is a little bit short for me. She's my second choice. I've gone with the other one, Given It Some. Candice
okay, so we'll agree that's a boat race.
Boat race, and I must share this with the public, Graham. My value bet is pick a winner. I see 20-1 on offer pick a winner.
Well, that's not something you often do, so you obviously fancy the horse.
Better this distance. His first 3 runs, including the barrier, far too short. Will relish the 1300. Duncan's of the opinion.
And Roman Dancer came out and won well.
Roman Dancer came out. He's a smart sort. If not too green, will be in the first 3.
So all jokes aside, obviously Pick a Winner is also one that I had a look at. Yeah. But I do think Inveroche, and you've persuaded me that Given It Some is obviously a talented sort.
Yes.
So we're going to go.
6:30.
So guys, you know, it always looks complicated on Vodacom Durban July Day, as with any big race day, wherever you go in the world. the trick to unpacking the pick sixes and the jackpots and the place accumulators, and it's always a personal choice, is to decide which legs you think are difficult and which legs you think you can go short on. We think Snow Dance is a banker. We think the second leg of the second jackpot is a boat race between number 6, Given It Some, and number 13, Inveroche. And if you want to stretch the point, number 10, Pick a Winner, possibly to put that one in as well. So we're getting off to a light start as far as the second jackpot is concerned, and there is a carryover, but perhaps race 11 is not going to be that easy. The Compendium Insurance Brokers Etic Queenie Sprint, it's for 3-year-olds. It's over 1,200 meters. The 11th race is due off at 7:15. Let's have a look at the current betting. Well, the bookmakers have taken no chances with number 1, Dutch Philip. He's travelled up. He hasn't raced here in KwaZulu-Natal yet. He makes his debut on the Poly. He's got a fair draw, drawn towards the outside, 12-10. I would have thought was a little skinny. When you look at the collateral form with number 3 down to 0, and you look at a horse like Pinnacle Peak in amongst the horses that he's run against, I would have thought that must have a chance from pole position, gate 1 at 4-1. The horse I like, he loves this track. Number 2, Will J. Reen at 5-1. 6, Procol Harum 13-2. Sir Frenchie flew up last time after fluffing his lines at the start from a hopeless position, ran into the money at 7-1. 14s and better the others. I'm going to start with you, Warren. If you were a bookmaker, putting you in the shoes of a bookmaker,
yes,
and are you looking to lay Dutch Philip at 12-10, or are you looking to keep it on your side?
No, I would lay Dutch Philip. Too short, not too short, drawn wideish, Poly debut, having to travel.
Not too short. Well, the betting might be too short.
Yeah, the betting. No, that's what the betting.
Let's be clear.
Let's be clear. 12-10. I won't be taking 12-10. Nice to see Will Jareen bounce right back to best last time. He is my first choice.
Yeah, he's my first. He's only had 3 outings since being gelded.
Yes.
And I think that's done the trick for him.
Correct. Beautiful looking horse. Seen him in the flesh like we all have. Will Jareen, my first choice. The comment from the stable, Procol Harum. He's got tons of ability. He hangs. That's the problem. He hangs terribly. If he does not hang, and Duncan's done a lot of work with this horse, he'll go close. He's got some decent form. If you look up Sand and Sea, El Mariachi Sniper Shot, he's my second choice, Procol Harum. Dutch Philip, my third choice, and Sir Frenchie, my fourth choice. I'm with you, Will Jareen. Dutch Philip, too short. For me, the price too short, not the distance.
I just want to be absolutely clear. I'm not suggesting that Dutch Philip can't win this race. He's certainly earned his rating. He's rated to win this race quite comfortably. He's a very talented 3-year-old son of Wadawinter. He was a champion down in the Western Cape as a 2-year-old. He's won 5 from 12. And these terms are quite favourable for him. Obviously, as the race ratings will show D's. I'm just concerned it's his first run here, but maybe you're not that concerned.
No, he's a worthy favourite in the race. I'm in agreement 12-10 is a bit short for him. He's taking on some horses that have been here, stabled here from visiting stables, and a horse that, a lot of potential when he started off his career. I think his rating as well, and he deserves his position at the top of the betting boards. I'm going to look at the second jackpot, Graham. You mentioned race number 9, Snow Dance. Then we went on to race number 10, where we just included 2 horses, Give It Some and Inveroche. I got a banker at the back. So I'm going to include the field here and hope for the worst result, because at this stage,
so the second jackpot, apart from whatever the main perm is, we can actually take a small perm a few times as well, especially once you've enlightened us what the banker is at the back.
Because it's costing 2 rand at the moment. And I mean, if you're going to narrow this race
down, put the field here and your banker at the back.
Correct. So what's it, 12 horses running here, it's costing you 2 times 12, 24
rand with the banker at the back. Certainly the last jackpot, we're not expecting it to pay rockets, even though it's got a carryover, but the carryover brings value. And if you can get it right and catch it a few times, you could end up the day on a high note, particularly if the going has been a little tougher in the early stages of the day. Just coming back to Dutch Philip, clearly it seems to me that Candice Bass-Robinson has brought this horse up here to run in the Mercury Sprint. They've made no secret of the fact that they think he is a top sprinter. They trained Wadawinter. This horse holds a special place in their heart. So we mustn't lose sight of the fact that he's probably up here to run in the Mercury Sprint, which is now on Eland Gold Cup Day, 3 weeks after this. So the other reason that I wasn't so keen to take the 12-10, although I'm not suggesting he can't win, is that he's travelled up and he may just be short of a run.
You could be spot on, but over a sprint trip, a horse can travel. It all depends on how he travels, how long he's going to be here for. Rocket Countdown is here, so I suspect he's here as well.
Yes, I would imagine he's here, yes.
He'd be here for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know, they would know. But for a sprinter, he doesn't need to be at the top of his game, especially a classy horse. In this type of field, when you look at the best weighted column, it should be no race.
Yeah. Obviously, first run on the poly, but that never worries me because until it's proven otherwise, I accept that they're going to act well. Just let's chat very quickly about Down to Zero because, he's clearly a very smart horse.
Graham. That's my first choice.
Is that your first choice?
3-1-5-2.
So Down to Zero, your first choice. Plum, draw, 1, straight him up. I see Pierre's already getting a bit nervous that he's drawn 1 on Abashiri. I know it's drawn 2.
Warren has tipped him for first race, second race, and the third race. He must be.
I know that Pierre likes to be drawn 1 in these fast races over 1,000 and 1,200 meters.
Sure.
I'm not sure that Pierre's all that
Don't
keen
put him on the rail
to.
at Scottsville.
Glenn Marcus fancies Abashiri to kill. He won't hear of it getting beat.
So does Patrick Mangard like it.
So does Patrick Mangard likes it as well, but. I saw in the Sporting Post that Pierre's already starting to get a bit worried about the fact that there's 17 horses on his outside. He likes to be on the outside of 17 horses generally in a race like this, and I don't blame him. Because shortly after the start, in the Vodacom Durban July, it can be quite hair raising. But on Down to Zero,
Conglomerate 20, Pomodoro 20, now 2.
Yeah, on Down to Zero, drawn 1 is going to be out of those gates and going. That's for sure. All right, let's get to race 12. It's the last race. We've got that quartet carryover for you. We expect that pool to reach R1 million. It's the Greyville Convention Centre handicap listed over 1,600 metres. The last race on Vodacom Durban July Day is due off at 5 minutes to 8. It's going to be a smashing day. We've got so much entertainment lined up. The stage entertainment with some top-notch bands and, of course, plenty to eat and drink. The picnic sites, the music. It's going to be a festive occasion. What a way to end the day with a race that they're betting 5-1 the field. One Eyes Wide Open. I saw him gallop with pack leader the other day, and for me, he can't be ready to win a race of this sort. Again, I'm risking having egg on my face, but I think he's going to need this outing. 2 Perovsky 5-1, 10 Pilou 6-1, 8 Summer Sky 7-1, 12 Purple Diamond, who won the graded race on this day last year, is 8-1, 6 Lord Balmoral is 9-1, 4 Red Carpet is 9-1, 7 Kampala Campari is 9-1. They're betting 10s and better the balance. The winner of this race last year was Copper Force. Is that your horse?
I'm closing the book, Graham. It's over for me. I'm done. I got the winner in the last race, and
well, share it with South Africa. Share it with us.
Jeff's been here to work horses, and he's trying to get the best feel of horses that he can to give them the best chance in a race. And he thinks this horse, Perovsky,
well, he did win the drill.
Is a serious track horse. And he knows the form. The horse won a draw rope, subsequent winner from the undercover agent, winning the Grade 1 Rising Sun Gold Challenge. Last time out, I don't know what went wrong. They were trying to qualify the horse for the Vodacom Durban July. In the past, he's shown that he stays 1,800 meters. I'm of the opinion he doesn't act in the yielding going. And on what Jeff tells me, and he's ridden, it's his last season. I think he could bow out on a high.
It's his last race that he's ever riding in South Africa.
In South Africa, and it could be his last season.
That's a sentiment. I actually hadn't thought about that.
It is.
And Perovsky, it's Russian. Surely it's Russian. It's by Russian stage. The World Cup is in Russia. Russia are through. They knocked Spain out. Perovsky, you beaut.
All the dots are joining up, Graham. Because
the stars are beginning to line.
I wish you all would stop hounding me about Spain being knocked out. But anyway, carry on.
But Graham, I respect.
It would be fantastic, would it not, for him to win his very last race ride ever in South Africa. I know it's not his last ride because he's going back to ride a couple of horses over there still before he officially hangs up his whip. But this will be his last ride in South Africa. It would be fantastic to see him win it.
It could have been a plan come together because when the noms were out, and obviously they were trying to qualify this horse for the Vodacom Durban July, I gave Harold Crawford a call and I told him, you got this horse in the Tequila Handicap. I'm actually not concerned about the weight. He's a class horse in the race. He said, these, we'll see what happens. And Michelle was at the Vodacom Durban July final field. And
that was Michelle Ricks.
Michelle Ricks. As soon as the horse didn't get in, she walked up to me and she shook my hand. She said, you got the ride in the Tequila. So, thank them for that because I think he's the class package in the race. Unfortunate that their plans to run him in the Vodacom Durban July hasn't materialized, but I think they could have a winner on the day. Jeff's been to Summerveld to work the horse a few times. He'll be working him during the course of the week as well. And on his bullish statements and on the horse's form, if it all comes together, it could be a fairy tale ending for Jeff riding in South Africa.
Warren, very quickly, we're running out of time fast. To get through 12 races inside of an hour is not the easiest thing to do, and to do justice to all of the form analysis, but hopefully we've given you some indication of where to look for your potential winners. We've had our first impressions of the card looking at it today, and often your first impressions obviously are the very best impressions and the best choices you could make. We've still got a week to change our minds, of course, as things start to happen, but I'm going to stick with what I looked at today. Warren, your selection for the 12th race?
Graham, I don't know if Dees is a superstitious man. I don't think he is, because horses don't know whether Dees tipped them or you tipped them or I tipped them. But nevertheless, I'm also, my first choice is Perovsky. I think he's going to be very, very hard to beat. Second, I went for Infamous Fox. I've gone from the lightweights versus the heavyweights. Second, Infamous Fox. Third, let me have a look here. Legend, and fourth, Eyes Wide Open. So it's 2, okay. 13, 11, 1. I'm with Dees, I'm with Jeff, rowing in with
Okay, so who am I to differ? I'm not going to spoil the party. I think Perovsky is a massive runner on his Drill Hall Stakes victory. I do think the horse that he has most to fear from is last year's winner. Dees mentioned the Tequila Handicap. That's its official name. Obviously this year called the Greyville Convention Centre Handicap listed. Its documented name is the Tequila Handicap. So we're going with number 2, Perovsky. But watch out for a much better run from number 3, Copper Force. His form on the poly is very good. He loves the poly surface. He won this race last year. He's had 6 starts for a winner, second and a third on the poly. And I think from a useful drawn with Bernard Fader, he's going to run in a much, much better race. Don't forget, this is the same horse that ran Legal Eagle to half a length in the Lormans Queen's Plate. He's a bit enigmatic. He doesn't always put his mind on the job, but if he's at his best, he could certainly deliver. So the last leg of the jackpot, D says Banker Perovsky, and I'm not going to change your mind on that. I would suggest you add Copper Force, but go light, whatever the case is. The second jackpot doesn't look that tough. We wish you all the best. The races are going to be analysed inside and outside, in particular the Vodacom Durban July itself, over the next week. We trust you've enjoyed our discussion, and let's hope Croatia go on to win tonight.
The first Saturday in July. 2 precious minutes. 4.25 million rand. Saturday, the 7th of July. Whose time is it? The Vodacom Durban July, Africa's greatest horse racing event.